This podcast is brought to you by Primary Arms. Primary Arms seeks to provide the best shopping experience for everything firearms. With over 13,000 products from over 400 top brands, Primary Arms carries a complete selection of rifles, handguns, firearms parts, shooting gear, apparel, and more. Every order comes with a commitment to superior service, backed by fast shipping and an expert support team. Primary Arms, serving freedom since 2008. Find out more at frn.deals/PA. Welcome to the AR-15 podcast. This show is for you if you just bought your first rifle or if you've been building them for years. There is something we can all do to take our black rifles to the next level. My name is Nick Dooley. I am joined as always by my co-host Tyler Brockle.
Hey everybody.
Hey, and this week we have another special guest with us. We have Kurt from Predator Armor.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
You bet. Yep. Thanks for making it.
No problem. Before we jump into the topic that we have here, which is going to be a very interesting topic, especially considering some of the events going on in the world right now. Tyler, you got to do anything fun this week with guns?
I'm on orders right now, so the fun starts tomorrow. We got 249 machine gun range kicking off, followed by 240. The next day got Mark 19, and the day after that, moving on to the M2 Browning. So we're nothing in the past few days, but it's coming, and pretty excited.
Well, that is always fun. I know the logistical stuff that goes into doing that because I'm generally the one running those ranges when we do that.
Yep.
But see, I think sometime next week I have to go back to the range. But that
sounds horrible.
It will be just another Beretta qual. But
yeah. I like the Mark 19. It's not something a lot of units get to do, and you always have to find the right area where you can use that. And for those of you who don't know what a Mark 19 is, that's one of those fully automatic belt-fed automatic grenade launchers, and they're just a riot. So I haven't shot one in probably 3 or 4 years, so I'm looking forward to trying to get out there again and put some rounds on it.
Yeah, that is the weapon that was designed by a 5th grader, because like they brought in, they're like, oh, check out our machine guns, and some smart ass 5th grader looked up and went, but does it shoot grenades? And they went, write that down. This kid's going places.
Oh.
And that's how they come up with some of those ideas. The only cool things I have is I've been told, I shouldn't say I've been told, I got yelled at because I had some random packages show up. So some of my crazy build parts are getting in, like my Matador 9 upper that's going to get married to a Scorpion lower.
Oh yeah.
To see how that works. But
right on.
Kurt, have you done anything neat or anything interesting before we jump into the main topic there?
God, no, it's not been too eventful week. I'm sitting on the same thing, waiting for a few more parts for a new build I'm working on, and myself a little Mark 18 style build. So I was waiting on a few parts to finish that up that I can go play with it. So kind of excited for that.
Oh yeah, it's
very cool.
Those little short builds like that are always so much fun, and sometimes I just get so irritated at barrel length rules.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited to go play this. I've got a 16-inch, so I'm excited to get a little shorter barrel and take it out and play with it. So,
how short are you gonna go?
I'm just gonna go 10.3 on the barrel.
10.3, right on. Yeah, I got a couple 10.5s myself, so it's a good length.
Yep, yeah, it seemed to be kind of a decent, a medium length on that. I am working on a little shorter barrel, but I'm going to do 300 blackout on that with probably a 7.5 barrel for that one.
Oh yeah, Yep. 300 blackout out of those short barrels is awesome. Like for running suppressed, I run a lot of my 5.56 guns as either 10.5s or 11.5s, just because.
Nice. What's the preference, 11.5 or 10.5? I debated back and forth for a long time on it and decided to go with the 10.
You know, I've got both.
Caliber. I think that's the most vague way I could put it.
I have both, and my 11.5 is my suppressor host because I didn't want to beat up the gun as much running it on the 10.5, or rather beat up the can as much running that shorter barrel.
Right.
So getting that little bit extra, just because that was always designed to be kind of a high volume do all.
For sure.
And it's rifles designed to be thrown in the dirt. So
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't know if you'd have noticed much of a performance difference. I debated back and forth, but I figured that inch probably didn't make too much of a difference anyway.
I've got my 10.5. I'm shooting dime size groups at 50, and I'm getting about the same out of my 11.5, and
Nice.
I can't complain. So
CQB stuff, it's great, and it really doesn't matter. It's like when you start trying to reach out 300 yards plus. I like I think my perfect one would be right around the 12.5 inch area. Now, with that said, I don't actually have one. I have 10.5 inches, and then I have 16-inch guns. And that's just kind of been more of, more of what's presented itself to me in terms of buying opportunities and deals, as opposed to, the guy, the nerd in me that sits down and really overanalyzes shit is kind of determined, hey, 12.5 is probably where I want to be. I just haven't made that build yet, which means it's coming at some point here.
I think I have a 12.5, but I'm pretty sure it's in an AK.
I'm the same way.
Anyway.
I sat down and looked at 10.5, 11.5, 12.5 trajectories, everything distant. And I was like, I'm just going to settle on the 10.5. We'll try it. So that's where I settled for this one.
Oh, no, I really like my 10. It's like picking your favorite kid. I can't.
That's right.
While we're doing this, we'll go ahead and jump into our topic. So you're with Predator Armor, and body armor is kind of a hot topic right now in some areas of the country and world. It's New York starting to say, like, no, you can't keep yourself safe. I've been a proponent of body armor for a long time. The first body armor I was issued was originally manufactured somewhere around the time the M16 was in Vietnam. And, I had good old-fashioned Vietnam flak jackets, and then got the very first SAPI systems fielded to me. And
oh, nice.
I've got to see quite a bit of the evolution of body armor from the user side. But
yeah, it's come a long way since then.
Thank God it was freaking hot. It still is freaking hot, but it's a little better.
Yeah, yes. It's definitely taken to extremes, and again, just because it's what the government runs doesn't mean it's the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lowest.
Yeah, I guess that partly depends on who you're working for the government. We found, but
that's true.
that very, very much so. But the area I do is not the best.
Yeah, we're the lowest of the totem pole of the grunts, so we don't get the high speed stuff. Now, I do have to admit, I did just get a couple weeks ago issued the new IBA that they put out, and I was very impressed with. I mean, just the level of features. My last one was pretty much purely held on by Velcro. The straps, the shoulder straps were extremely bulky. I bet this one was probably made. The one I had was probably made somewhere in the mid to early 2000s, and now the one I got was just made within the last couple of years. So they've come a long way in adding features, but still comparing that to the setup I have now on the civilian side, it's still nowhere close to the tech and the features and stuff that you can get in some of the stuff that you can buy personally, which is unfortunate. Yep. But I know higher speed guys than me are probably using that stuff.
Yeah. Probably are.
Yep. And so obviously Tyler and I are both military, and we did have an opportunity. You sent out some armor, and my wife is also military. She retired out after 22 years, and she saw it come in and claimed it as her own. and put it on, and she was talking about it. Like she actually went kind of on it or on and on about it because she picked it up and went, wait, this is way lighter than the stuff that I ever got issued.
Oh yeah.
And then,
but it was hopefully it wasn't dually sized armor though.
No.
Marnie size armor would be a little bit different.
Yeah, but it is the 10 by 12 or 10 or 10 by 18 industry standard. Or no, it's 11 by 14 and 10 by 12. Brain.
10 by 12. Yep.
12.
Yeah, and ours is the 10 by 12.
Yeah, because 11 by 14 is kind of the new thing that's just popped up in the last couple of years, because I hadn't even seen that before.
Yeah, it is a little bit. We don't carry 11 by 14s at the moment. We've debated it, but still 10 by 12, covers the vast majority of individuals, and so we haven't gotten into the 11 by 14s yet, but we debated it and kind of thought about doing it multiple times. So probably something we'll do in the future. Offer a little bit more range. Probably do 8 by 10s as well, a little smaller, because we do get requests for those, particularly from women. A lot of times they say, "Hey, I'm just looking for something a little smaller, a little lighter." So,
right on. So
we get that sometimes too.
Before we dig like extremely far into the products, like, why don't you start off with telling everybody a little bit about the company? How long you guys been in business? Where you located out of? What kind of your main product lines are, etc.
Did we lose him?
Kurt, you still there?
We're located in Utah. Yeah, can you guys hear?
Uh-oh. Yep, now we can.
Okay. Yep.
I'm back.
We good.
Must have been in a bad spot there. You guys hear me again?
Yep.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah, so quickly, so we are located in Utah, kind of a smaller little rural town in Utah. A few of us actually of the company grew up there, so land was cheap. We get a big warehouse to work out of, and we can shoot the guns in the back, so worked perfect for us. Go out back and test the armor right on site, so it worked pretty convenient. It's nice. Anyway, the company, our main product lines and stuff, we can get into some of those, but really our target is our goal was to make a high-end quality product, but make it at a price point that everyday civilians can afford to get it. A lot of us for the company, we have military, active duty, some veterans, some LEOs who we work with, but a lot of us are just civilians who work with the company, and that's really, it's a growing market, I think. A lot of civilians are looking at getting, kits and getting what they need. So really, we wanted to be able to provide something, first of all, made in the USA. That was one of our top priorities. We really wanted it to be all of it manufactured here. We wanted to try and do it at a price point that anyone can get into it and get themselves a little extra protection, if they feel they need it. So that's really kind of what our ethos has been, a quality product at a low price and make it available to as many people as possible.
I think it is very, very interesting how you say it's a growing market, because it really is, from what I've seen, kind of being that the gun guy and the group of friends and all that, it's
right.
Of course I take that to an extreme, but it's, if somebody's going to have a question, they call me. And years ago, it was, when I bought my first set of body armor, on the civilian side, and like, wow, you've got a set of body armor. I was like, yep, I sure do. And they're like, oh, it's for training for Army stuff. It was instantly what everybody kind of went to.
Right.
And then those same guys who thought it was super outlandish for somebody to order their own body armor now are calling me and saying like, hey, so I've been thinking about buying a set of body armor. Like,
yeah, totally. We get the same thing all the time. Friends and stuff I grew up with, they're hunters and stuff like that. But, and we do get a lot of crossover with that market, but a lot of them are kind of like, hey, like I've actually been looking to get a set of body armor. So we've definitely seen a lot of that too. It seems to be growing with a lot of different people. So.
Yep. Now, as we talk about it, obviously we talk about body armor and just say, yep, it's we do body armor. And terms that people will throw out is it's you buy a set as this isn't the 1980s bulletproof vest, like the Kevlar vest, if you will. You guys provide plates and carriers.
Yep.
And
yep, that's exactly right.
So when you get into this and like looking at different types of plates, that can be a confusing adventure all on its own, because you have level 3, level 3A, level 3 plus, level 3, or all these different numbers and variations that go onto the front and back of them. And I know that they come down to what it is that they will stop or are rated to stop, rather.
Yeah.
So when somebody is I guess, because I purchased my armor a couple of years ago, right? And I did the same thing. I had to go on and do the research, what all this stuff meant. Kind of want to give us a little bit of a rundown of what some of these numbers mean, and then maybe an example of some of your most popular stuff that people gravitate to and toward in terms of what level of protection you would recommend for certain groups, such as civilians or professionals or police, etc.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys are exactly right. I mean, that was one of the other things that, and it's something we need to do a better job with. When we initially started the company, a lot of our employees at the time, one of the reasons we started, they were looking into body armor. And as we got more into it, we realized, hey, I think there's some gaps here that we could help fill as a company. And one of those gaps was education, because it is confusing, right? You get into all that stuff and all the different numbers and ratings and what does it do and this and that. So one of the big things we've really tried to do, and we'd like to do a better job of it, we're working on it now, is really getting more educational content out there. Simple educational stuff to help people, the average consumer who is just getting into it, which a lot of our market is first-time buyers. We know that. Just to help them understand easier, like, hey, this is what it is. And so we're trying to get some content out there. We've done some on YouTube and stuff, but we really are working on some more content to really help explain some of those things. But really a quick rundown for you. You're right. We offer 3 types of armor right now, 3 levels. So the levels are all based upon NIJ testing standards. That's National Institute of Justice. They have testing standards. They do, level 2, even level 3, 3A, and level 4 are really the ones. So we currently have level 3A, a level 3, and then one that's not actually part of the NIJ standards, which is level 3 plus. And a reason for that, so the gap between level 3 armor and level 4 armor is a huge gap. I mean, it's just, you go from non-AP rounds to AP rounds. So there's a pretty big gap to fill there. And so a lot of companies, us included, do an armor that's level 3 plus, really to kind of help fill that gap. Basically, it's your NIJ level 3 standards plus a little extra above them, but it doesn't meet your 4. Doesn't meet the level 4 standard. So it it's kind of a gray area. And that's one thing that can be a little confusing, because everyone's 3 plus plates are actually, there's no set standard on that. So they can vary company by company, which is one thing consumers really need to pay attention to when they're purchasing. Pay attention to really what they state on what it's going to stop and what it's not going to. Which usually they're not going to tell you what it's not going to, but they'll tell you what it will stop. So
and it's not just the type of round, but it's also the number of that type of round. In
terms of level, correct? And what type of armor as well, I always, that comes into play too. How many has to stop? 6 versus 1 type of thing. Some different standards. We do steel plates. Currently, our level 3 and 3 plus are steel armor, and our level 3A is a Kevlar. It's a kind of a hybrid Kevlar material. Now we can get into some of the nuances on some of the different types of armor as well. But one thing I always tell everyone is there's no one perfect armor for every situation. There just isn't. Every piece of armor has pros and cons. Whether it's steel, whether it's ceramic, whether it's poly, they all have some pros and cons to them. And so really you just need to think about your situation, kind of your circumstances. When are you going to be wearing body armor? What kind of purpose are you going to have it for? And then make your purchase based upon that. So along those lines, level 3A, that's actually less than level 3. So level 3A is our lowest rated one, and that's rated for pistol calibers. So it's going to stop your 9 mils, your 357s all the way up through 44 max, and it'll stop up, and it's rated to do 6 shots as well on those. Now your 3A armor is very lightweight. Our Kevlar, our plate, 10 by 12 plate of Kevlar or our level 3A plate is, just over a pound. So it's really lightweight. Great option for discreet, carry options on it. And obviously handguns are the number one, crimes committed with firearms. Almost 90% of them are with handguns. So really a lot of people are like, oh, well, won't stop any rifle rounds. And I get that. But for 90% of your instances, it's going to do what it needs to do. Same thing, police, where, all police vests are 3A. Although most of them have options to level that up. But so that's the 3A option. So it's a pretty popular option. One, just because it can be so discreet, lightweight, options to carry it in backpacks and bags. And it's, you can take it through TSA and everything like that on airplanes. So you got a lot of options there with the 3A armor. But if you are looking for something a little higher protection, that's when you come up to level 3 and 3+. So your level 3 is rated to stop, your 308 at 2,800 feet per second is basically what it's rated to do.
That's so a pretty substantial hit.
5.56,
that is
308, your AK rounds. Yeah. Oh yeah, you'll feel it. You'll feel that one. You get by a 308.
You're gonna break a rib or two, but it's not going through.
Yes. Yeah, you're gonna feel that. That's what we and ours, and the one benefit of steel, one of the pros of steel, I know there are some cons too, and we definitely, a lot of people tell us about the cons and they love to tell us, but there are a lot of pros too. And one of those pros is the multi-hit capability. We took up to the gun range and hit it with the 240 Bravo, just blast. I don't even know how many we put in that thing, 10, 15 rounds in it on a spot, and there's no penetration. Now you're going to take a couple of those rounds. You're not going to be standing there anyway. So that's not going to happen in real life. Right. But we just wanted to show the capabilities that, it's multi-hit rated. Like it'll take those things all day. But yeah, it's going to put you down for sure. So that's level 3, and our level 3+, the big things are level 3+. So velocity is the killer of steel armor. It's speed is what kills. Our level 3, you can hit that thing with 30-06, which it'll stop most of your 30-06 rounds even. Just because the nature of steel and the way it works is it can stop those bigger rounds. Velocity is what's going to get you. So our level 3+ is specifically designed. It's an extra hardened steel. It's AR-650 is what it is. Super hard steel, about the hardest you can get on the market. You can't find, I don't know anyone who offers harder body armor than the AR-650, and really it'll stop your higher velocity rounds. So the big one is your 5.56 out of a 20-inch barrel. So our level 3 plates, when you shoot out of a 20-inch barrel, the velocity on that M193 round gets hot enough that it'll go through the level 3 plates. But a level 3+ plate, it will not. So that's kind of the big marketing point we have on it for people. We like to point that out, like say, hey, if you're worried about some high velocity rounds, that's when we think you should jump up to level 3+.
Right on. And I was actually going to bring that up just when I was looking at your guys' site and looking at stuff, was the fact you were running 650 instead of 550. So we've talked a lot before about steel targets. I know Tyler and I definitely have, and all the steel targets are generally AR-500 or AR-550. So going up to the AR-650, is that why you could run a little bit thinner plate? Is because it has that extra
hardness?
Yeah, higher on the Brindle scale or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. So our level 3 is an AR-500 plate. And they're both a 1/4 inch thick. But just that extra hardness really gives it the capabilities to stop higher rounds. I mean, that too. Take that thing, because it's almost impossible to put a hole through. That stuff's really impressive. We shot it with, if it had 300 Win Mags, 4570s, the list goes on. Now, like I said, velocity is the killer. So you can get through it with some of those rounds if you're shooting super, if you're shooting hot rounds, low grains on, like a, what am I thinking? 22-250. So we shot with a 22-250, 4,000 feet per second. So that did get through it. And with a 300 Win Mag, I'm guessing I haven't ever shot through it, but if you probably grained down and, had a really hot round, you might be able to get through it. But in general, it's a pretty hard piece of steel. It's hard to get through. We shot it with almost everything, and it stops it. So
very cool. So what kind of coatings are you putting on your steel plates then?
Yeah, so this is the big thing, right? Big con on steel is spalling the frag, the spall that comes off of it. So we hear a lot about it, oh, that's great, it stops bullets, but I'm going to die, I'm going to get stuff in my throat. And we hear it all the time, and it gets a little old. Like, you guys, there are options available. But anyway, beside the point, we don't need to get that. But that's one of the big cons. So we actually offer a few different variations. We offer a base coat, which is we put a powder coat finish on it. Just to protect it from the elements and, give it a little harder coating on the outside that gives a nice clean finish. But then we also offer Kevlar wrapping on it. So when we came to the market, we obviously knew the con of steel, that everyone's worried about frag and spalls. They should be. I mean, it is a concern. There are a lot of ways to mitigate that, but we went with a tried, tested and tried thing, which is Kevlar. It's been used in the industry for decades. For frag blankets and all kinds of different things. So we actually wrap a couple layers of Kevlar over top of the plate, glue it all down, and then put a nylon fabric finish over the top. That nylon fabric finish, is to protect, once again, from the elements. Kevlar shouldn't get wet and, the UV rots it. So it's to protect it from that and give it a nice clean finish. And that really works to catch the frag. So when that round hits, it tries to go somewhere, it just gets caught up in your Kevlar fibers.
Very interesting.
So it's a lot more than just rhino lining.
So that's our solution to the frag issue, and it's been great. I mean, so we didn't go, and I'll be honest, some of those options are, I mean, you can see them. Some of them work great. I'm not saying, not knocking on competitors, that some of their solutions are good too. We just think, Kevlar, it's a trusted solution.
Oh, absolutely. Kevlar's been used.
People know it works, and that's the route we went. There was a little bit, we had to finagle a little bit to figure out a good way to get it on there that'll hold up to the impact when those rounds hit and different things, But it's been enough thinner and lighter, Kevlar doesn't weigh much. Another plus to it. Our plates are only a 1/4 inch thin. It's also a plus.
Yeah, and weight is one of the things that is definitely a killer, specifically, well, with all body armor, but especially with some of the steel, because as a guy who carries it around every day with him, for a living right now, I can say that my pared down IBA with my Kevlar helmet, you're looking at about 45 pounds. For my setup that I walk around with. But
and that's what still a lot of people do. They're like, oh, it's so heavy, and it's come a long ways. I'll tell you that. So our plates are 1/4 inch thick. They weigh 7.5 pounds. That's both the 3 and the 3 plus. So they are on the heavier side, but I mean, a lot of your affordable ceramics are 8 pounds plus. So they're definitely on the, they're not your lightweight ones. That's why I say there's no perfect armor. If you're packing it around for all day long, 7.5 pounds adds up fast, right? But if it's not something you're packing all day, I'm not sure a few extra pounds makes a huge difference, So like I said, circumstances, you got to consider, when you're wearing your armor and different things like that. So definitely taking consideration.
So obviously plates are a big thing. But I think another piece of gear that's equally as important is the carrier itself, right? Because not only is that housing, that investment you've made into your armor, but that's also how you're attaching everything else, your mag pouches, your utility pouches, your knives, you name it. And so tell us kind of a little bit about your plate carriers and some of the design aspects around them, would you?
Yeah, for sure. So we have one carrier on the market right now. We're looking at, God, we've been things just we've had a few others in design. We've had a kind of a couple other ones we're working on, but we've been pretty swamped with the current state of the world. So we've kind of things have been getting pushed back a little bit further than we'd like, but we'll get them out. So our current carrier, the design behind it, so it's the Minuteman is what we call it, Minuteman carrier, and that's really kind of the design behind it. It's a low, lightweight, minimalist style. Something you can quickly, store in your trunk of your car or wherever in your house and just hurry and throw it on. So it's got, quick release side buckles on it and a quick release on the shoulder as well. Really designed to be in and out quick. That being said, we tried to design it with the ability to bulk it up as much as you want as well, right? So you can run it super light, but you can also bulk it up. So it's got the MOLLE on the front and the back. I think there's 6 rows on the front, and then you got your top Velcro rows as well, 3 rows of that, 4 rows of that as well on it. So, it's got plenty of room to run your mag pouches, your, a dump pouch, some medic gear, or whatever else you might want on there. But really it is designed to be a kind of a sleek, low weight, minimalist style. That's really what kind of we're going for. Like I said, a big market that we're pushing is the civilian market. For the average day civilian, it gives you more options than you could ever, probably need to bulk it up, but also makes it very simple. A lot of companies, you can get so fancy with plate carriers. I love it. I'm a kind of a gear geek. And some of our competitors, I love some of their gear, like Spiritus Systems, Cry Precision. I love their gear too. It's awesome. Some of the things they do, but you go on some of their websites, it can be confusing. It's like, oh, hey, what placard do I need with what vest, and what back do I need with what front, because it's very customizable. And we realized, and that's what we're kind of getting into. We'll offer some of those options. We want to offer those options. But out of the gate, we said, hey, we want to make this simple. We want something that everyday Joe can throw on, understand, make it fit, make it work, So that was also part of our design element in there, is making it very simple.
Well, I think that's great, especially for the market that you're going for. My notice, the stuff I picked up on right away was, I look at your shoulder pads. You have a clip on the left side, and you obviously got the clips on the side. Easily looks like it comes off really quickly. And then, of course, you kept that clip off of the right side, or at least up a little bit more, so it's not interfering with the butt of your rifles. And that was kind of one of the big drawbacks, in my opinion, to like the original IBAs that I was issued, was my firing shoulder had such a thick strap on it that when I would go to the range as a civilian and just put it right into my shoulder where I was just wearing a regular shirt, felt natural, felt good. And then you'd go and you'd put on this really bulky vest with this huge shoulder strap, and your rifle would sit out, half an inch further from your shoulder than what you're used to. And you would either kind of have to readjust your sight picture, or it would slip off or something. And so it's nice to see these, more minimal, in my opinion, I'm a bigger fan of a more minimalistic vest. It's cooler in terms of temperature. It's easier to throw in and out of your car. It's easier to shoot with. Now, I get you sacrifice a little bit of protection with that, but it kind of goes back to personal preference.
I would argue you don't even sacrifice protection. So, I've had the opportunity to, over the course of my years, to talk to a lot of people who, are patching holes on the battlefield, and like they'll go through and say, the extra Kevlar flaps that they're putting on don't actually stop any rounds. All it does is embed fibers in with the bullet. So,
I meant like for instance, I do a swimmer's cut on my plates.
Yep.
My plates are a little bit more angled on my chest, and that just allows for a little bit more real estate. And I get that. It's not a lot, but you're giving up a little bit of real protection, real estate, to increase your mobility.
Yeah, for sure. We do offer swimmer's cut for that reason. We've been, like I said, we've been so busy. It's been out of stock for a long time. I feel terrible. But shooter's cut are the higher demand, so we've just been stocking those recently. But yeah, shooter's cut, our swimmer's cut, they do sacrifice a little, but like you said, it gives you more mobility. I like the swimmer's cut. I think they're awesome cuts, and they shed a little weight. Like our swimmer's cut is, I think it's almost a pound less than our shooter's cut. So you drop some weight on them too, which really makes it nice.
Absolutely. Yeah. I personally, that's what I go for, is the swimmer's cut on the front. And then I do a normal cut on the back.
Nice.
Still. Yep.
Seeing, I just run straight shooter's cut because I have enough real estate on the front that it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So the other thing too, I see. Go ahead.
And that's it.
I see you do have some other accessories on there as well. I was really drawn to your mag pouches, which were kind of a neat design. That going with like the minimalistic approach that I like. I kind of saw your design for that. You want to talk a little about your mag and your utility pouches?
Yeah, for sure. So, our accessories, the mag pouch is our most popular one. Naturally, with the plate carrier, most people pair it. So it is a minimalist design. So we do laser cut on everything on these. So it's the front and back. So our plate carriers are traditional Molly, but our accessories, we do laser cut. Just once again, it's really sleek. It's nice. We really like to do the laser cut on these. So you attach them with a malice clip is how we usually suggest people to connect them. But the design behind that is, one, we tried to keep it a little shorter. So we didn't want to do we wanted to make it a little more accessible, a little quicker draw on these things. And then we use Kydex on the inside. It's just an insert there, so it locks in just like your holster for a pistol or anything else. So those mags, you can hold those things upside down and shake them. But also you get that thing grip and, the solid grip, and you can take them right out. So it's really quick, but also has strong retention. So they are really slick. It's a pretty awesome setup. I love the mag pouches.
Yep.
And then, so our utility pouch and dump pouch there, really the big thing, our dump pouch has been really popular. And it's, I don't know if you guys do you run dump pouches, either of you, with your gear on your belts?
Yes.
Some people run them on their belts. Some people run them on their carriers.
Yes,
I got one on my belt.
I generally keep one on a dump pouch on my belt as well.
Nice. Yeah. I always tell people, like, man, this is like that one piece of gear where people are like, oh, you really, I'm like, no, you want the dump pouch on your belt. Like they're so handy. So we say there's so many uses for these dump pouches, but ours, it rolls up super small on your belt. It only takes up, a couple inches width-wise, but when you unroll that thing, you can hold 9 AR mags in it,
Wow.
So it's
there's
folds up. It's got a little cinch waist there on the side, so if you don't want them to fall out at your spent mags or whatnot, kind of keeps them in a little tighter. But we've heard so many uses for them. People, they go to the shooting range, they just put spent brass in there. People they're like, oh, I just carry my water bottle in that thing. It's perfect to drop like your water bottles or whatever down in there. So, or your snacks, some people are like, hey, it's a great snack bag. So it's got a lot of uses there. The dump pouch is pretty awesome.
I actually got 2 of my would be the non-tactical whatever area buddies into dump pouches, dove hunting.
Oh, nice.
We'd go out and you wax a couple doves and then you just shove them in the dump pouch instead of having another bird carrier.
I've actually done the exact same thing. I tried to tell them, like, man, you guys, some of my hunting buddies was like, these are awesome for doves are good because they're smaller, so they fit in there perfect. You can just drop them down in there. So.
Yep, and see, Garth has joined us from the tractor studio. So
Nice.
So Kurt, when you say laser cut molly, is that Cordura? Is that what that material is?
Yeah. So I should have mentioned that. So our carriers are made out of 500D Cordura. Everything. Just it's super high, high strength material, durable, to take a beating.
Yep.
Our accessories we do out of 1000D Cordura. Reason we don't do our plate carry out of that, the typical reason everyone's 500D instead of 1000D is just the weight difference. Sounds like it wouldn't make a huge difference, but it actually adds up, especially on a carrier going from 1000D to 500D. But on our accessories, we run 1000D. Reason for that being it's just so much stronger with the laser cut. That you don't have any tear or any issues or stretch issues with it. 500D, you're going to run into issues if you get too much weight and tension on there. So we run 1000D Cordura on all of our accessories, the dump pouch, utility pouch, mag pouch, and everything like that.
Okay, right on. And correct me if I'm wrong here on the nerd stuff, but Cordura is essentially a canvas as opposed to the traditional fabric or the nylon that traditional molly is made out of. And when you say 500 versus 1000D, you're talking durometer because it is a canvas. So it's more of a thicker, stronger, almost double in strength when you go from the one durometer to the other.
Yeah. So it's just a tighter weave. Whether you're 1000D, it's saying how many basically thread counts are in a square foot or yard or however they want to measure it. So yeah, it's just basically double the thread count in there. So it's a thick fabric. Very, very thick fabric. So what you do with the 1000 or with the laser cut is, it's laser cut by a laser. So the reason it does that is as it cuts it slightly burns the edges, so you don't have any fraying issues and stuff like that as well, which is really nice.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Cordura on my gear, and I run it on a lot of my plate carriers and mag pouches. But because the Cordura is a canvas, not only does it make it, I think, easier to manufacture because you are simply laser cutting it, but what a lot of people don't think about is with that traditional molly, it can take in a lot of moisture, dirt, mud. I remember we were on a ruck march one time and it was actually blizzarding out. All of that snow was falling onto your rucksack, which is made out of that traditional molly. Your IBA and all of that is just you're hot, so it's melting, and all of that is just soaking into your gear and adding on the pounds. And so not only does the Cordura is easier to manufacture, it doesn't take in the water. And then, of course, because it is so much thinner compared to that traditional molly, stuff's just closer to your body. So I'm an all-around huge fan of this laser cut Cordura, like you guys use on your accessories.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about getting it wet, but you're right. Weight. Weight is one thing that comes into consideration there too, right? I know it's like we're talking ounces, but in today's world of gear, like people, it's very, everything's done with a purpose almost. People are shedding ounces wherever they can possibly shed ounces. And laser cuts one, weight to shed weight on those for sure. You drop all that webbing, which the webbing, it does add up in weight. And I didn't even think about it getting wet, but you're right. Wet, it would weigh a lot more.
Yep. And shedding pounds is good, but shedding pounds without sacrificing performance or strength, even better.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
You're exactly right.
Yep. And then utility pouch is another handy one. Like I run utility pouches along with stuff as well, because generally that's what I would call, like a micro med kit or something like that. I'd stick into it because I have a tendency to carry more medical gear than most.
That's good. No, yeah, our utility pouch, you're right. It's just kind of whatever, right? Whatever you can shove down in their med kits, just random stuff. And one
Snickers,
thing we do with, yeah, that's right. Whatever you get in there. And one thing we do with our dump pouch and utility pouch, and we'll do them with a lot of our accessories in the futures, as you kind of talked about, so like dove hunting, right? we tried to make these things as usable as possible. So one thing we've done on the back, if you check them out, you don't have to run them with Molly. So we've done a belt fed system as well. So you can hook them with Molly to belts, to carriers or whatever, because we have the Molly in the back. But also we've made a loop in the back where you can just weave a belt, a regular everyday belt, through the back of it and carry it with you. Really trying to make it, as usable as possible. It's like me, when we go on hikes and things like that, I just throw one of these utility belts or utility pouches on my belt, right? I just weave my belt right through that on my hip, and I can carry, some things in there that I might want when we're just heading up for a day hike type thing, So really we tried to make these things as functional as possible. Let's say you're just going out to the range and you want to carry your dump pouch for some brass or your mags or whatever it might be. And you don't want to, get your full setup. You can just, weave your everyday carry belt through that thing and take them with you. So that's one of the design features we tried to add to those accessories.
I'm told fanny packs are coming back. So
they are. They're in. Fanny packs aren't just back. They're like back with a vengeance. We're working on a fanny pack. We need to get a fanny pack out because they're handy,
Oh man.
Yes, my life in 1993 was right.
Yeah. That's right. Hey, over the last 15 years, I don't know if it was really in, if you were still rocking one, but now you can again. So
Yep. So now obviously we've talked about the armor individually, the carriers, and then but you guys do bundles as well.
Yeah. Yes, that's one thing we like to do is we kind of bundle it all up, basically a starter pack, right? So you get a kind of your core essentials. You get your armor, a carrier, and a mag pouch. Those are kind of the three core essential items I would say for anyone who's like, hey, what should I get starting out? I mean, obviously first starting is a carrier and plates. Those are top priority. But really the next thing you need your mags. You need to be able to pack your magazines with you. So that's what a lot of our bundles are is kind of that, based upon that, really just a starter pack for someone. Let's say you're new getting into the body armor industry, and it's just kind of a starter pack for them. They buy it and they're ready to roll, ready to hit the range and start training in a little bit and testing it out and things like that. So
now you mentioned something there that's near and dear to my heart, and I know it is to Tyler's as well, and that is training and getting out and using your gear, because it's one thing to have all of this stuff, and it's another thing to actually know how to use it, know how you move in it, and looking at some of the things where as we talked about before, talking about the carriers, where it's like, like Tyler brought up the buckles, and you look at the padded straps and how everything goes in. It's hey, I've had this problem on something before. This looks like a way this has fixed it. Going back, and as someone who's done a lot of training in that, you need to go out and train in your gear after you get it.
For sure.
And I have seen it firsthand where guys who, like we said before, a lot of the other people in the industry and the companies where they'll buy a pair of $400 pants and then they don't want to get them dirty because, it's, I bought these awesome pants that have the built-in knee pads, but they don't want to scuff them up.
Yep.
And it's kind of like buying a new rifle that you're too afraid to get dirty because you might scratch the finish on it. You need to run with this stuff, and having that where the barrier to entry is low enough to still be willing to run with it, get it dirty, get it muddy, and then but be able to use it and train with it.
100%. Yeah, it's and not only that, you need to know where the stuff is located on your gear. Is it awkward for you to grab? Is it naturally where you'd put your hand? I've had belt setups before where I was like, okay, I can put this mag, farther back or farther forward, and just my physique and my build, it just going to do a reload is awkward. So tweaking it even an inch or so can make a big difference. So using your stuff, and the more you use your stuff, you'll find out the little nuances that you like and you don't like. And that's kind of, like I said, how I came up to really like the Cordura. I came across it. I did my research on it. I bought it, and I really liked it over the stuff that I had previously used in the past. And just by naturally acquiring this stuff over time, you'll figure out what works for you, but you can only figure that out if you get out and use it.
Exactly. And getting out and using it will make you find the unique features, much like the unique features found out of VZ grips. The unique features of the machine grips are their VZ grips. They're machined from a solid block of G10. G10 is great because it is durable and doesn't get slippery when it's covered with mud, blood, or sweat. The 17-degree grip angle, a wide variety of textures from mild to extreme, and color options are available along with shorty versions. 1911 grip features extreme customizability from standard slim palm swells, thumb notches, safety cuts, bottom profiles, and etc. More than 25 textures and 27 colors available for everything from 1911s, ARs, my beloved Berettas, even some CZs. The coupon code is good for 15% off all handgun and rifle grips, and that coupon code is AR-15 podcast.
Bam.
Nice. Well done, man.
Yeah, our thing is so you can have the best transition into the
that's a seasoned professional right there. That was smooth.
Yeah, we do what we can.
That was nice. And just that. I mean, I agree with you guys 100%. Shooting with a plate carrier is different than shooting without one. I mean, we try to make it as close as possible, right? Like I said, with the minimalist style and stuff like that. But just the shoulder straps, even your gunsling, fits and slides a little different when it's hitting carriers and stuff on your gear. And yeah, there's a lot of factors that weigh into it for sure. I agree with you guys. And I love what you said, Tyler, is your physique and stuff where you put your mag pouch is probably completely different than where I want to put mine.
Yep.
And that's what people, it's always like, oh, well, what would you do? What would you do? You do this a little more than I do. And it's like, it's hard for me just to tell you because everyone's different, right? Everyone prefers their mag pouch or dump pouch in a different spot. It just needs to be what you're comfortable with. The only way to get comfortable with it is to do it. So,
yep.
So we always try and tell people, hey, just get out there, figure it out. Watch some YouTube. I'm not against that. Watch some YouTube, see what some people do, get some ideas for sure. There's a lot of people out there who are pretty experienced at this stuff. So check it out, but then you got to do it yourself and figure out what works for you.
100%. And I would be lying if I said I have not been that guy in my basement standing there with all of my gear on, like getting up and down, and
LARP is life.
Answered the door for, the UPS guy. Yeah.
Fully geared up.
I was in the house. It was the underwear that threw him.
That's right. Or the lack of underwear, maybe. Was that the real issue?
No.
Yeah, no, I was in the house the other night, kitted up with my carrier, and I got a new sling. So I was trying out my new sling with my gun. And my wife's like, she just walks over and closes the blinds, our big family room window, closes the blinds. Like, what are you doing? She's like, our neighbors are going to think you're psycho. What are you doing? You're sitting in the living room watching TV, slinging your gun around. I was like, I got to get comfortable with it. I got a sling. I want to try it out. So she just closes the blind. She's like, well, I just don't want our neighbors to think you're crazy. So I'm like, fair enough.
The best one. So, I YouTube, now that you bring that up, I watch a lot of Grantham, right? And I finally got the chance to meet him at SHOT Show this last January. And, he was there at the Brownells booth signing stuff. And, he just, after I talked to him for a little bit, super cool guy, super chill. And he's like, what do you want me to write on here? And I'm like, well, I can't really tell you what to write. That loses the authenticity of it, right? So it's like, who the fuck says, what to write? So he just goes, Tyler, LARP is life, Mike Jones, right? And I love that term. I love that term, LARPing. So fast forward a couple of months, and I had hired a camera guy to come out and do some videoing, to do some commercials for my company. And, we're going out to the range. I got my guns, I got my body armor, and I told the camera guy, who, by the way, was in the military. So he's not like unfamiliar with guns by any means. He was actually his military job was basically the guy who did all the recruiting films. But I told him, all right, we're going to get the, just wait. He's like, oh, these guns are so cool. And I said, well, just wait till we go on full LARP. You're really going to love it. And what he thought I meant was I was going to throw on some like Harry Potter shit and run around because that's what he thought LARPing was.
Well, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
That's LARPing too. He's right.
But I'm just like, he's like, I didn't quite like creatively. I had no idea what you were thinking, but I was just like, fuck it. We'll roll with it. We'll put on some knight's armor or whatnot.
Some weird
and
stuff,
I'm like, no, LARPing, like body armor, full kit, helmet, like the really expensive shit that we don't want to tell our wives we actually have.
That's right. That's the truth.
I got a good kick out of that.
No, that is very much so a thing, and yes, the LARP is life comment is brilliant.
Awesome.
But so, Kurt, where can they find you other than obviously PredatorBodyArmor.com? I know you'd mentioned some stuff about YouTube. If people are listening to this and they want to find more about body armor and the information, and I'm sure we could probably get together and work out some stuff with that, and then where can they find you?
Yeah, for sure. So YouTube, check out our YouTube channel. Like I said, we do a lot of, everyone loves to see stuff shot, right? So we shoot a lot of our plates, so people can check out what it stops, different things like that. We also try and do reviews of the products just to walk through some of the features and stuff, give you an idea of what you're getting and things like that. PredatorArmor.com is our website. Obviously, you can go there, purchase anything. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, things like that. We got some pretty cool. Speaking of LARPing, we get some pretty cool content. We got a guy who works with us. He's a great LARPer, and so we get some pretty cool content. So you can see some of our gear and how people actually run it and stuff like that. But yeah, all the major social media platforms, you can find us there. So
sound good. Just at Predator Armor for all of those.
Yep. Predator Armor for all those.
All right. Well, that is where everyone can find Predator Armor. There's one other person that they need, or some other good people they need to find are Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co. As you saw there, they have the Velcro panels on the front for, Molly and whatnot. It's also a great place to put those morale patches. If you need high quality, patriotic morale patches, look no further than Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co. because they have everything from your favorite patches to metal signs and, of course, the best mouse pads in the world that they call cleaning mats. So, with that, Tyler, do you got anything else to add before we shut down for the evening?
No, I think I'm good. I appreciate you coming on, Kurt. Always great to see new and cool stuff. Really awesome that it's at definitely a price point that people can get into, and that price point comes with a lot of really interesting stuff and accessories. Love the product. Can't wait to try it myself. And I appreciate you coming on. And I'm the nerd here when it comes to the engineering side. So I really like talking about the design aspects and everything that, people don't really get to see that kind of stuff sometimes on websites. The back end design and thought processes that people go through to get their products to market is something that's really, really awesome. So I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you guys having them come on. Sorry about we had some difficulties getting on, but I'm glad we made it. So it's good to talk. Yeah, and I know the design stuff is pretty awesome. So my wife said, "What'd you do today?" And I said, "Well, I bought a whole bunch of new gear to go try out and test out and see what I like about it." So spent a lot of money on stuff and researched a lot of products and materials, and I spent a lot of time doing that, which we love, right? There's nothing better than getting new gear and going and testing it out. So
exactly.
And we got a lot of new stuff coming. So definitely for those who, want level 4 armor, we're working on a level 4 armor product. We're working on a level 3 poly plate, which is going to be a lot lighter weight, some different things there. So once again, trying to get to the price point, we had a few options available, and it really was just going to be a little higher price than we wanted to offer our customers. So we're working on some solutions to bring stuff in-house, as much in-house as possible, just to bring costs down. So it's taking a little longer than we hope, but I think it'll be a better product in the end. So keep your eyes open for some fun new stuff coming out too.
All right. Well, that sounds great. And with that, if anyone wants to find us, they can find us obviously at AR-15 Podcast on Facebook, AR-15 Podcast 2.0 on Instagram and YouTube, and AR-15 Podcast 2.0 at gmail.com. So, Tyler, if you have nothing else to add tonight,
I'm good.
We'll say this, you folks out there, you stay safe and stay armed.